Good afternoon. We will today in previous session we have seen what what issues you can encounter when you start running your machine learning models, and we saw that there could be issue of underfitting or overfitting, and we seen in detail how the issue of overfitting can be overcome by means of regularization, and we also looked at the issue of tuning of the machine learning, the tuning of the parameters corresponding to a particular machine learning algorithm. So, for example, the polynomial regression fitting, you have to decide what should be the degree of polynomial. So that can be called as a model hyperparameter. So in order to decide that parameter, we require some additional part of the data. So you have limited data available for doing your machine learning. So major chunk of that data you utilize for training your model, and remaining part in the classical way you will be using it for testing. So before you release the model, you want to make sure that your model works for a new set of data which it has never seen. Now, in order to determine hypertuning, you also have some similar requirement that in order to decide which hyperparameter is correct, you require some data which the model has not seen. So in that sense, you have to break your model into three parts. That is the training set, validation set, which you use for setting the hyperparameters, and then you require testing, which is for final release. So we have seen that there is a smart way of handling it through k-fold cross validation, in which you can still use large part of the data for training. At the same time, you get the validation data set embedded inside the full training data set. So these are the two operating aspects. So today we will continue further into something again related to operating issues in machine learning model creation and its implementation. So those are related to the performance of your model. So for example, I have got some data set to predict the profit from population of a city. Some I do the modeling using linear regression, and another person does using polynomial regression, and I want to decide which is better. So I need some kind of a metric or quantifier which tells us which model is better and which is not better. So we have already seen for regression model, this such quantifiers. One could be least square error, and another could be what is known as R square score. So using these numbers, we can compare between the models and decide what is good model and what is not so good model. So let's see what are the similar metrics for classification problems. So classification models. So what are the metrics for them? So they cannot be R square or least square. So let's see how we can evolve that. That is the discussion of today's session. Before we go into that, we will understand what are the other ways in which this model evaluation can help us. So in order to answer that, I'm just putting one quiz question, which you can answer. I think that DMMS link should be in my clipboard. Okay, so this is the form. And what we are looking here is what are the advantages of this model evaluation metrics. So what is the purpose of using the model evaluation metrics? So I just now release the quiz form. Those who are joined late, I will release once more. So I'm happy that uh, majority are in option 4. So all the 1, 2, 3 are the purpose or advantages of using the matrix, or why one would use this evaluation matrix. So option number 4 is the correct answer. Let's see one by one. We already discussed just now that one has to choose between a linear model and a polynomial model. Then you will use the R square value or the metric, evaluation metric for that purpose. So which model is better suited can be determined by using this evaluation matrix. Evaluation matrix, those who joined late, is something like, not something like, it is for regression problems, it is the least square value or the mean square value, and the other metric is the R square score, which we defined previously in the previous session. And there are some others, but these are the two one which are popular. So using that, you can determine which model is more suitable for a given task. The second one is sort of corollary of the first purpose, is that it can be used to estimate how the model will perform. So you have obtained a machine learning model. Now, before you launch that model in outside world, you should have some confidence that will it work for 90% of cases or 80% of cases or 50% of cases. So what is your confidence level? The score will give us a very high score. Of course, very high score also has got some other problem in terms of your model may be overfitted. So some reasonable score that you expect, and that idea you can get how suitable is your model for launching, how it will perform with the real life data, that can be decided based on this metric. And the third one is something you are doing this job for some customer, or somebody wants this model to be built to predict something. So somebody wants to predict the profit based on the population of a city. So that job is given to you. Now, when it comes to end of the contract, you have to convince the customer, or as a part of that contract, you will have some clause. I'm not talking real life situation, just imaginary situation, that one may think of having a clause which is related to having performance metrics or the evaluation metric value of certain number. So that could be a criteria which is verifiable and measurable. So to convince the user that this particular model works properly, so it gives a quantifiable measure. So having seen the evaluation matrix, now let's look into first the regression parametrics, which we already seen. So just repetition. So there are, one is the mean square error, which is nothing but our j theta value. And the second is the R score value. So R square value, we have seen that R square is between 0 to minus infinity. So R square equal to 1 means it's a perfect fit. So your model passes through each and every point of your data. It need not be the best model, but that is the R square equal to 1 would indicate. R square equal to 0 indicates that your model is estimating, it doesn't have much practical meaning, but physically it means that your model is having constant value, and which is equal to mean of all the data values. And R square equal to minus infinity, it indicates that you got your model has no correlation with respect to data, or the data has no property of being handled by regression model. So that is the so these are the examples of evaluation metrics which are used for regression. So apart from that, there are other metrics which are also available, which you can read through the documentation of the Scikit website. But for the purpose of this course, these are the two metrics which we are seeing. Now, for today's class, our main focus is the classification metrics. So let's see particular results which are given by some machine learning model. So this particular machine learning model is trying to classify the emails as spam and not spams. So spam mails are spam mails, and in this case, ham is the word which is used to saying that they are not spam type of mails. So you have got total 20 number of samples. So 1 to 10 are given on the left hand side and 11 to 20 are given on the right hand side. So these 20 samples are, you build a model based on these 20 samples. So you build a classification model, maybe using a logistic regression, which we studied last time. And the results of this model are given in this particular table. So the target values are nothing but the label values or actual values. The actual mail, some human expert has seen that whether it's a spam or ham, that is written here. The next column is prediction of your model. So your prediction may match with the actual label or it may not match. So there can be matching or no matching. Now there is something for classification metric. There is, we define, here we are again talking only about binary at present. It can be extended to, the same metric can be extended to multi-class classification as well. But again, we'll focus first with the binary classification. So in binary classification, there can be one attribute or one label which can be important, which is what you are trying to study further. I call that as a positive label. So one of the labels, either 1 or 0, you call as a positive. Positive in the sense is the English meaning of positive. And ham, which is not a spam mail, is I'm calling negative because I'm not interested. Suppose I'm interested in finding out, critically finding out how many spams I'm receiving. So I will be more focusing on spam. So in that sense, spam label is positive. So it doesn't matter which you assign as a positive. In this particular example, I'm calling as spam as positive. Now, the metric that we are going to discuss in the next slide, they are based on what is known as the outcome of your model, which is measured in terms of whether matching or not matching, and whether the prediction is related to positive label or prediction is related to negative label. So for example, for the first problem, your target is spam. So it is actually a spam mail, but your prediction is ham. That means your prediction is wrong. So the first term here, this false, it indicates that it is false in the sense true is where match is there and false is where match is not there. So this is whether match is there or not match is there. And the second letter indicates to the predicted value. So you are predicting it as negative. Negative means you are predicting it as a ham value. And whereas actually it is a positive value. So actually it is a spam, but you are predicting as a ham. So this is false negative. So that is why it is FN. Let's take some arbitrary another example. So let's take spam. So here the matching is there. So that is why true comes here. And the label that we are talking about, the predicted label is a positive label. So here we are having true positive. So similarly, ham would have true negative, and let's take something where it is ham spam. So ham spam is false because there is a mismatch, and the second is the predicted label. So predicted label is spam, which is positive. Means it is predicted as positive, that is spam, but that is a false indication. So what this metric depends on is the number of this. So you can have only these 4 combinations. So which is true positive, then you have true negative. So match with positive labels, match with negative labels. Then you have false positive, that is mismatch, where you are predicting positive label, and mismatch where you are predicting negative labels. So you count how many are there in each of this category, and these numbers are used for the further classification. So can you count and tell me how many true positives are there? So you have to just simply count in this table how many true positives are there and how many true negatives are there. So somebody tell me how many true positives are there in this example. You have to simply go through this list and tell me how many true positives are there. So it is just standard, second standard or first standard question that I'm asking.
5 true positives.
Sorry?
Sorry?
5 true positives.
True positives,
True
you are saying
positives, you are saying
five.
six. Six.
So there is one, there is two, two, three, four, five,
Okay, 6. One is also there on the right side.
six. Yeah, there is on the right hand side also, right? Okay. So now you got the hang of it. So how many true negatives? How many true negatives? Can somebody tell?
9 true negatives.
9 true negatives. Okay. How many false positives?
2 false positives.
2 false positives.
Three false positive.
False positive.
Sorry, two.
There are two, no? False positive. So this is first false positive, for second false positive. So there are two, and false negative are remaining. So total 20 samples. So three are the false negatives. 15 plus 5, 20. Yeah. Okay. So these numbers are used to represent the performance of your matrix, of your model, and they are presented in a particular form, which is called as a confusion matrix. So whenever you're talking about the performance of classification model, you will hear the term what is the confusion matrix for that. So confusion matrix is nothing but these four numbers. So they are represented in a matrix form. So let's look at the form of confusion matrix. So the confusion matrix, so again, there are two styles of writing that. So style which I'm referring here is based on textbook. So here on, so your matrix is this one. So it is 2 by 2 matrix since there are four numbers. The column direction of this matrix is target, or these are the actual labels. And the row direction is the predictions, what your model is predicting. And since it is a binary problem, we are having only positive, means first it is positive, means the models which are having actual labels as positive. So in our example, the spam is positive. So these are the positive, actually positive, actually spam emails, and these are actually not spam emails, so negative. And this is on this axis, you are putting how many uh, positive predictions are there, how many predictions are spam emails, and how many predictions are negative, that is negative FN. Negative predictions. Negative, that means not spam emails as predicted by your model. So what numbers we previously calculated, they are put in this matrix in this particular fashion. So that is what is written here. So this particular block will correspond to true positive. So so diagonal things will all be true. That means positive is matching with positive. So that is why you will have true there. And here negative is matching with negative. So it is true negative there. So the diagonal terms will be all true terms, and off diagonal terms will be false terms. And positive and negative will belong to the label corresponding to your column. So the prediction, whether it's positive or negative, based on that, the second letter is formed. So the numbers that we obtained in the previous case, so those can be written here. So true positives. So our first row, first column would be 6. The second row, second means the other diagonal term is 2 negative, which is 9. Then you have got false positive. So false positives are 2, and false negative, which are equal to 3. So is it clear how the confusion matrix is developed? Just to recap, the confusion matrix is for binary problem is 2 by 2 matrix. So in that, the columns represent the actual the sense column in the sense in the column direction you have the labels, and in the row direction you have the predictions, and the true positive, true negative values are as shown in this table. They are fitted into this particular matrix. Now, based on this particular matrix, there are different actually there are more than four number of matrices or metrics are there for evaluating the classification problem for different situations, out of which four I am presenting here, which are more popular. So the first common accuracy score is called as a first evaluation metric is called as a accuracy score. So this accuracy score is defined as follows. So this is total number of true positives plus true negatives divided by all the number of samples. So TP plus TN plus FP plus FN. So on the numerator, you have the diagonal terms. So these terms are the diagonal terms which are true. That means spam mails are predicted as spams. Ham mails, so out of your 20 samples, 6 are spam, which are identified by you as a spam. And there are 9 emails which are predicted as ham, which are correctly predicted as ham. So not that there are 6 spam mails. So there are 9 spam mails, that is the 6 plus 3. There are actually 9 spam mails, out of which 6 you are predicting correctly, and there are total 11 ham mails, out of which 9 you are predicting correctly. So the accuracy score is something how your model is able to predict the correct things. So here you are not bothering about whether you are predicting spam correctly or ham correctly. Your focus is not biased towards either spam or ham. In total, how accurate your model is, that is what you are looking. So you are not interested in either how good prediction about spams is there. You are saying how many good correct prediction is there, either spam or ham. So that is the first score. So in general, in most of the situation, this score will work well. In other situations, which I am going to discuss, you require other things. So let's calculate this particular score. So it will be true positive and true negative 6 plus 9 divided by total number is 20. So that is equal to 0.75. So that means out of all the samples, 75% samples are predicted correctly. Whether positive or negative, you are not bothered. So spams and hams, they are predicted 75% of times as the correct models. Now there are situations in which let's say you have got very expensive machinery and you have developed a machine learning model which is trying to predict the health of this particular machinery, and you want this prediction to be as reliable as possible. That means your model tells you that there is some problem in this particular machinery. In that case, you have to that is stop that machine, stop your production activities. You have to open that machine, and it's very expensive machines. You have to call maybe experts from some abroad and repair them, and it's very costly activity. So you don't want to end up in a situation where there is you open the machine and you find that your model has predicted wrongly. It is actually nothing is wrong, but you unnecessarily spent time and money into the thing. So the situations where the reliability or the guarantee of correctness of your predictions is important. So there use another score, what you call as a precision score. So I'll put that as P. So this P is different than the positive. So this P corresponds to precision. So this precision score is built only on true positives. So we are more interested in like the example which I give. So in that case, the positive is faulty machine. So the machine is actually faulty, and your prediction is also that it is faulty. So that how many times it predicts it as a faulty. On the denominator, you have the total predicted positives. So which is nothing but TP divided by so total predicted positive. So you have prediction here. So it will be addition over the column. So it will be total positive plus false positive. So total predicted positive will be TP plus FP. Okay, so what you are doing here is out of your total predicted positives, so out of total predictions where you are saying the machine is faulty, how many are actually faulty? So you are more interested in that, and you want very high value of this particular ratio. Very high ratio, which indicates that the highest ratio is 1. That means whatever the model is predicting as positive, so in this case, wherever it is, let's say 3 cases, it is predicting that machine is faulty. All the 3 cases, the machine is actually faulty. So that allows you to take decision very confidently. So in such situations, rather than using the accuracy score, which is a mix of faulty and not faulty, so this score can be misleading because the score may be very high, but that high thing may be because of good match with respect to negative things. So negative thing match may be very high, but the positive match may be less. But you are more interested in positive, or one of the label you are more interested in reliability of predicting that particular label. In that case, we'll use the precision score. So in our problem, this precision score would come as TP is how much? TP is 6. So let me clear out this matrix. And we are taking addition TP plus FP, so that is 6 plus 2. So that is equal to 0.7. So it happens incidentally, both are same, but that is just a coincidence. It is not the case. So what you are doing here is TP plus FP. So that is the addition of the column in the positive column. So this is TP plus FP. Now the third measure, which is the recall measure, it deals with another situation. So here in the first case, you wanted the reliability of predicting positives in another situation. So consider that you have got lot of equipments in a particular area, or there are a lot of, let's say you are supplying 100 number of electric motors to a particular industry, and the performance of these machines could be healthy or unhealthy. So they are operating and their performance are you are collecting the data, and based on that you are predicting whether the machines are healthy or not healthy. So that is what the machine you are doing. So in that case, you are interested, or the customer is interested in knowing that out of the actual, there will be some unhealthy machines. So let's say there is 10 out of 100, there are 10 unhealthy machines, out of which how many your model is able to predict properly. I'll repeat once again. So there are 100 machines, out of which 10 machines are actually unhealthy. They are really unhealthy. So how many of these 10 unhealthy machines your model is able to predict correctly? So that is called as a recall. So this recall is different than precision. In precision, you wanted the reliability of your results. So whatever predictions you are getting, so in this out of 110 machines are unhealthy. In precision, what you are interested in is that out of these 10 machines, 8 machines are predicted by your model as unhealthy, but you want all 8 of them to be really unhealthy. So that is what precision is looking for. In the recall, what we are looking for, there are 10 machines which are really unhealthy. So can your model fetch all 10 of them? So how good your machine is in fetching all the positives. So that is the recall. So recall is again on the numerator it is true positive. That is what is your machine is predicting and is actually matching with the reality. And here you have the total target positives. Means how many are actually positive, out of which how many you are able to extract correctly. So this actual target positive is nothing but summation over this region. So it is TP plus Fn. So it is TP divided by TP plus Fn. So in our case, there are total 9 uh, spam mails are there, out of which you are predicting 6. So 6 by 9 becomes your score. So if it is very important that you get all the spams correctly, then you will go for recall. If you want all the or whatever your model is saying. So let's say your model says there are 6 spams. So all 6 have to be spam. So there should not be any mismatch. So if your interest is that, then it is a precision. So let's say some payment is linked to this correct prediction. So in a faulty prediction, you will be penalized heavily. So in such case, one would look for the precision. And recall is something where you are getting you are more interested in how many as many positives or as many spam mails to be extracted correctly as possible. So in that case, you will be looking for the recall score. And accuracy score is something which is averaging out. You are not giving importance to either positive spam or not spam. You are just plain giving equal weightage to both of them. The F1 score is something which is there for only binary classification. So F1 score is defined as follows. So there are many more metrics. So F1 score is one thing, something which is common. So it is defined as 2 times PR, where P is the precision, R is the recall, and here it is P plus R. So this is something which is, you can write it as 1 divided by 1 plus P plus 1 plus R. So this is something which is known as the harmonic mean. So in the F1 score, also you are doing averaging like in accuracy. So this F1 score is not biased towards positive or negative. It is taking best of both. So you can't decide whether you have to depend on precision or recall. So in that case, this is called as a harmonic mean of 2 numbers. So if you have 2 numbers, their harmonic mean is given by this particular formula, which is this formula. So F1 score is something which is in between precision and recall. So you are interested in reliability of your model as well as the how many correct means as many correct positives as possible. So your interest is in both, then you can use F1 score as a compromise between the 2 scores. So means for our model, it will be P is 0.75, R is 0.67 divided by 0.75 plus 0.67. So that comes out to be 0.7078. So these are the some of the scores which evaluation metrics which are used for classification, and I just gave you what is the which score which is to be used in which case. So that is the understanding. So one part is calculating these matrices, metrics. So that is a simple part, but where to apply which metric is something where you have to apply your mind and think and then take the decision. Okay, now any questions at this particular stage? Because precision recall concepts are something which requires some reflection. So maybe if not now, after you think a little, you may get more clarity about these two concepts. Okay, so the next slides are mostly doing calculations based on what we talked earlier. Okay, so there is some just refresh of the concepts that we talked here. So let me bring out our evaluation form. Okay, so you have to give two positives. So two positives means it is matching and the prediction is positive. So the second term always belong to prediction. And here it is defined G is positive. So how many times G is predicted correctly? Okay, so let's look at the answers. Yeah. So one is the correct answer. So we are trying to predict how many times G is predicted correctly. So there is only one situation where G and G is matching. There is no other case there. So this is the true positive. Okay, now let's go into just repeat of this concept. I think I will skip this. That is similar. Let's go to accuracy score. So accuracy score is given by the formula which is shown here. So remember that true positive and true negative lie on the diagonal, and then calculate the score. So 0.625 is the correct answer. So total number of samples is 8. So true positives, the numerator is TP plus TN, that is 3 plus 5, that is 5. 3 plus 2 is 5, and total number of samples is 8. So that is 0.625. Okay, now let's look at the precision score. So for the same sample of data, tell me what is the precision score. Okay, so here we are looking at true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. So this is true positive and this is false positive. So here we have to take sum of the column. So it will be true positive, that is 3, divided by true positive plus false positive, that is equal to 4. So it is number 3, which majority of you have given. If you have summed up over the row, that is, can you tell which is this measure? If you do the ratio of 3 divided by 5, what is this score called? So it is true positive divided by the actual positives.
Recall.
That is a recall. So this score is a recall. So this first one, 0.6, is a recall square, which is for this problem is we are looking for precision. Okay, so the next question is recall. Already you have the answer. Okay, so this evaluation matrix, there is a separate section in Scikit library which we'll be using. So I'll just think of that here. So if you go to Scikit library, you have a section which relates to there is something related to, yeah, here it is there. So metrics, there is a separate section. So in this you will get the various types of scorings for classification, scorings for regression, scorings for clustering. So what are the different types of metrics which can be used or which are there in the machine learning literature? So all of them are there. The one which we discussed in the classroom or the one which are very popular or the commonly used. But apart from that, there are other which are used for very specific applications. So you can, if you are curious or for your project purpose, or if you are working on your own some personal problem, in the sense personal technical problem, then you can go through this values. Okay, so that is it. So you have this much for your T2 examination. So for T2 examination, you are having, I think, polynomial regression we did not have. So you have polynomial regression, then we did the knowledge base agents. So that is propositional logic and other logic, that is a first order logic. So those related to AI, and then machine learning, you have logistic regression, and then you have last lecture where we discuss about overfitting, underfitting, and the k-fold cross validation. And today's session we have seen classification evaluation metrics. So, and regression we have covered, metric we have covered previously. So those things are there for your T2 examinations. So we cover all these sessions here. So today's class, I have just released the information about your first mini project. So there will be two projects. The first project is related to regression and the second project is related to neural networks. So immediately after T2, we will cover the neural networks and then I will release the second project, so that the first project is for regression, the second is classification. So you'll get good feel of working on these cases for on your own. So these projects are to be done individually. So it is not team project like in DMMS. So each of you would try to develop your own model. So you are on your own. Of course, you can talk, discuss, copy each other's code, but just pay attention to what you are copying or what you are doing. So you should be able to explain what you are doing. So briefly, I will just explain what is this project. So this is an interesting project in the sense it relates to some real life engineering information. So one of our MTech students had done some experiment related to fatigue crack growth. So that may be more relatable to civil and mechanical engineers, electrical may not be that much relatable. But of course, it in terms of machine learning experience, it is same, or it is parallel. So when the crack grows, there are some theoretical models which can predict at what rate the crack will grow when the loading is fluctuating. So some experiments, 6 experiments we did, and some data we obtained, and we could publish a paper based on the machine learning model which predicts this crack growth rate. So the same thing you will be doing. So what this student has done and done a publication. So you will have same data available. Of course, you won't have data for all the 6 experiments. I will be giving you data for 3 experiments. You will build your model based on that, and that model will be tested using the information which is of the remaining 3 experiments, which I am not showing you. So you have a data which is let's say 3 experiments have been already conducted and customer has given you that data, and the remaining 3 experiments you imagine that he will conduct after your model has been done, to check how accurately your model predicts the crack growth rate for different things. So this particular model, the data is about 10,400 samples are there, and there are different features. So if you look at this data, it will look something of this type. So this is the data which is generated by the machine on which we are doing the data. So there are so many parameters other than what we're interested in are getting generated. So we'll read this data in your machine learning model, then slice it out to get whatever you require for. So essentially these 3 features you require. So one is something called as a crack growth rate in meters per cycle. Then delta K, which is a parameter those mechanical or civil engineers can relate to that. That is related to the fracture mechanics parameter called as stress intensity factor. And what is the frequency of loading. So these are the 3 parameters based on which you, means based on delta K and frequency, you have to predict what is the dA by dN rate. So dA by dN is a label which you are trying to predict, and delta K and frequency are the features. And yeah, so you'll be doing, this is the first project. Second, as I told, is based on neural network, which we'll cover later. And okay, some how your performance will be compared with your peers is shown here. So R square will be taken as a evaluation metric. If both models, means both persons, both students are getting same R square value, then the time to train the model will be considered. If still there is a tie, then both will win. Okay, and there will be some token prize at the end of this, so that there is some competition among you. And okay, you can use not any model, means you can add, supplement this with some model of your own, means model of your something beyond, but I'm giving you option of choosing only 3 models: ordinary, least square, ridge regression, and polynomial regression. So these 3 you must do. Beyond that you can try out, but that won't be considered as a part of competition. That you can do in your own self-interest. And okay, once you create your model, you can submit the result of your model to me for validating it or testing it with respect to the real data. So there is only one chance you will get to submit your model, and I will return you back what is your R square value for that with respect to the hidden data. So the data which I'm keeping with myself. So once you get that R square value, then you can decide. So for example, you did your model, you got a very good score of 0.9. And when you submit that score to me, I will return you back saying that your score with respect to hidden data is zero point 0.4, for example. So that you get idea that your model is overfitted. So you have to take care of something. So, but you can do this only once. So everybody will get one chance to do that. And as soon as you send your code to me, whatever score you have achieved, that will be revealed to everybody. So everybody knows that how the others are doing. It is up to you whether you want to test or you don't want to do this test. But as soon as you do this testing, it will be revealed without name that score uh, is so and so. I think there is no harm in sharing the name also, that so and so student has got this much score in the trial run, so that you know uh, whether you are far behind here or you are far ahead of others. Okay, and at the end of the project, you have to submit your code, which will be again tested against the same data set, same hidden data set, and your final score, and the winner will be based on the criteria which is given here. So this particular thing I am issuing today. Now we did not get any chance to do any practicals on running any actual machine learning model or the regression model. So that is why I wanted to one extra lecture for that purpose, so that you are given tomorrow. So it is up to you. Means I mean that particular thing is nothing. Means per se exam T2 में इसका कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. But if you means you decide and tell whether you want to do this Friday or the next Friday. Means if you are busy in as most of the engineers are busy, or everybody prepares for the exam during the last minute. So if you think that tomorrow you don't want to do the practical, then we can do it on the next Friday. So please let me know that tomorrow 9 to 10 you would like to have practical where you will go through an assignment where you will be building a regression model using the scikit library. So I will just put up this query on the classroom. So just let me know what the majority of you want. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we'll stop here. Okay, so let me stop the recording and then I will close.